Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RedMist Afterwards podcast. I'm going to be this evening's host, Amerikako, RedMist leader and player. With me, I have Mr. Murdok.
Hey, I'm Murdok, Broken Arrow Outfit Leader on Cobalt.
Doc P.
I'm Doc P. I lead for Hot.
ZmileZ.
That's it.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
All right, yeah. Hi, I'm ZmileZ. I'm doing air things for Hot this season, and yeah, that's me.
Paff.
Hello, I'm Puff. I'm doing the air stuff for Hydra this season.
And Homi.
Hi, I'm Homi. I'm kind of an officer for one VS4.
All right. So today we're going to go over this past weekend's matches. We're going to start with the first match. I think a lot of people anticipated, which was Hot against DIOR. Doc P, as the one leading the Hot team, how was it? How did you go into the match? How did you feel with it?
Well, we had all our plans laid out. Mainly going for those two middle bases, except Bitter George, and then scan the rest of the vehicle control that I planned for. Obviously, it didn't quite work out in the start, but I wasn't too worried. I rewatched the match later, and I definitely saw that it looked a bit scarier than it was on my side. But I think we stayed in control, at least on the vehicle side for most of it, and kind of got our momentum back in the middle of the base of the map. And from there, just like played the game that I planned out from the start.
Yeah, I was casting your match, and in the beginning I really thought, I didn't expect that DIOR pushing so hard on you. But yeah, you had a really nice comeback actually. Then through the middle, and then actually won 7-2, right? Or was it 6-3? Yeah, 7-2. It was a really nice match.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
I would say that match really, it was interesting looking at how teams changed the way they play when they're not facing against teams who could not really hold their own. So the week prior, both teams were facing enemies who couldn't really hold their own in all of the domains. And now you really got the first like power level check, so to say, and seeing where these teams really stand, right? So facing against, not against them, but facing against 3PG, for example, you wouldn't really be able to tell how the air works because you're mostly going to be running air hammers probably. But I think this week's first match, Hot versus DIOR, I think really showed me that air is really perceived differently from player to player in the way that DIOR is quite prominent in the air gameplay on live, and that's a lot of names you're going to see flying all day. But seeing them in the opener, the more I rewatch it, the more I really wonder whether there's not some glaring mistakes in leadership being made and how that was handled. Maybe Puff, you can also add a few things to that because I think you must have seen that live in the beginning. It was a fairly aggressive opener on their end,
yeah,
which is nothing wrong with it, but it felt and looked very disjointed. And it's just something that you don't really get the panic that you'd usually get when you're losing an opener if you keep getting the free picks left and right where you can just 2-on-1 somebody because they're flown in alone. And that's, I think, what really in the beginning caused it not to be that chaotic airball, but it always felt under control because it was very disjointed on the DIOR side for some reason.
And they won because of the more numbers, I think, and also because they had the air control a little bit. But as soon as Hot actually, like the infantry play was way better for Hot. That was like you could see that in stream, and I think that the air carried them in the beginning, and also that's why they pushed so hard. But then you actually outmaneuvered them quite hard with your air squad and pushed the bases they attacked, and you wanted the base cap going through, and you always got that cap. And also the macro game from Hot was way better, especially like in the end, the hopping between the west and the east. I don't know the base names yet. The one
You're
after
calling them square base.
Yeah, yeah, right. The one after the tech blends and the north one. Yeah, there was such
a slate and hydroponics.
Thanks. Yeah, and the macro game was so much better there. The back and forth and yeah, you could just saw it. Better macro, better leading.
Yeah, I've got to
Yeah, I
give it to
think-
the DIOR though. That Rep Galaxy in the opener was very, very dominant among the middle bases. Like landing them below the ice sheaths and stuff, that was very strong. It was something that was hard to get rid of in a way if you didn't really get people to focus them down. And I think their Galaxy stayed up for the first, let it be 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes almost, until the first Galaxy started popping. So I think that was something where you could really see that they put some thought into it. And with, I think it was Brexy and another PSET player that joined them that did the Galaxies. They've been doing it on live, so you can clearly see that they've got the experience. So that's something that every team should take a look at now that hasn't been running Rep Galaxies, because these were really useful and really strong in my opinion.
Yeah, you really have to adapt your air game. We had the feedback from our pilots that the group fights you have here on the Outfit Wars is completely different than the fights you have in live. You don't have 1v1s, and due to the sheer amount of players in the air, it's usually more about coordination and callouts to actually get the kills, because you can't really hunt them down. And that really makes you, forces you to adapt.
For sure, yeah. Airballs are like a play style on their own that you need to practice.
Yeah,
You can't really go
definitely.
on live and do it there.
Yeah, exactly. You can't get those on live. Like you kind of need to scrim on Jagger for stuff like that, and even there it's hard.
Yeah, you usually don't get the numbers up for such an engagement. And 12 against 12 is significantly different than 40 against 40.
Yeah, but even looking past the air point of view, I think this week really showed that DIOR took some good steps in the way that they looked more mobile and redeploying across the continent. Because in the first week against
they?
Reapers, I think, I'd say compared to the Reapers match, where we pointed out that they should have done that a bit more convincingly, because it was potentially close at some points when they could have taken or lost crucial bases. I think this week they did a good job in the beginning, and you can see that things changed. They were also running a Valkyrie for backcaps, if I spotted that right during the match. So I think
I think
that's
that
a
was the
good
one,
step
yeah.
to take.
Interesting.
But in the end, I don't know what really would be the next step for them to up their game. I think their armor players looked a bit disjointed. I counted 4 different prowlers across the match. And I saw them, one was on top of the mountain taking pot shots at DSFs, which is debatable, but sure, that might pay off. But then the other ones, I don't know, I didn't see much of them, to be honest. I heard them called out and focused, but I'm yet not convinced what role armor is going to play in Outfit Wars here.
I think the Prowlers made a big difference in front of their warp gates, the hydroponics space. I think. I hope the name is right. Because that is like flat area, and they could really shoot down from the warp gate, or like in front of the warp gate, shoot down the air hammering reavers and the galaxies as well. But over the Chinchilla was the Prowler on top. Which you already said, ZmileZ. And he also got some kills, I think, but I don't think those kills matter in the end. And
I don't know. I think they had a pretty big impact. He also shot on some galaxies.
okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the Galaxy shooting
A lot of our
was-
guys had
was
problems with
big.
that for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For
I
galaxy hunting, it's really
genuinely-
good.
Yeah,
I really
damage
find it
and
weird that
skills
people
as well.
use galaxies in Alpha Wars. Like it's a big juicy target, and you know everybody's just gonna go for it. Like unless they're rep gals and you're actually moving troops in them, it's weird to me.
Well,
you
that's
have
what you're
the-
supposed to do, right?
You have the cliffs and the hills, so you can hide reptiles and got a pretty secure report point close to the actual air fight.
I think.
Yeah, and also, sorry,
That's fine.
Go on, Paff.
No, go ahead, Kako.
I think it also depends on what's the situation with the rest of your air squad. Because if you have enough to cover for your galaxies, then your galaxies can be both repair stations. They can be spawn options. They can be ground to air, air to ground. Sorry. They are big, and they are quote unquote bullet magnets. But if they're up and they have the help from the airball, they are extremely useful in my opinion.
I think it's more like when you pull a lib in like competitive Planetside. Like if you got libs in the air, you already won the air war, basically.
Yeah.
I
That's how I feel
disagree
about
big
it.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Especially if we're talking like lane smash as well,
Mm-hmm.
where your rep galaxies got a lot bigger.
But I
W Fat example.
Yeah, but I think only because that's only like 24 players, right? You don't have 48. And I
Well-
think Galaxy
doubled-
scale. Yeah,
Double the players, double the galaxy.
yeah, okay.
That's
Yeah,
what we
okay.
did.
Yeah, but you still can melt a 1 gal faster, right? I think galaxies scale a lot better with less player numbers than with more player numbers.
Probably.
And I think
Yeah, but-
at the moment, people underestimate the galaxies, even in the match. That's why they're so good. But I think as soon as every team notices how good they are, people will focus more on them. And I think if you focus a gal dies pretty fast.
Like Lance Man, basically.
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
with your point, but I think the map gives them a huge advantage due to the cliffs in the middle and the mountains.
True.
Yeah, we had it this match against Hydra versus RedMist like 2 hours ago. The cliffs, it was like an endless air battle, and you could always hide behind it, even as an ESF, or just hop out and repair up and then be up again. It was kind of tedious actually, because you like never went forward. They didn't went forward. Was not that much fun actually, but I think it's kind of good that you have a little safe space for air as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially on such a small map.
I think what Rap Galaxies primarily do this tournament so far is it really showcases which teams have competent and experienced air leads and which teams don't. Because you see the teams who don't have one decisive shot caller and people listening in the air struggle a lot to take down Galaxies. Because if you just focus fire them with 2 people, you're effectively just wasting 2 people in the air at that point, because it's not going to die. And also shooting that Galaxy or calling to focus that Galaxy also opens you up to enemy air pushes. So I think the more decisive and the better and more situationally aware your air leadership is, the better and the easier you're going to find it to deal with Galaxies. And maybe you are going to reach a point where you say, hey, Galaxies are free food for us. But to this day, so far, I think the very minority of teams are actually comfortable enough to deal with Galaxies, because they are one squishy ball of HP that is going to take a while to kill and that can put you through a lot of trouble.
And it is just scary to not shoot at the ESS anymore. And like, you kind of open yourself up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
And for that, actually, the Prowler spamming at Galaxies is probably the best thing you can have, actually,
For sure, yeah.
looking at it.
Yeah.
That's true,
Or a
yeah.
few lips who are dedicated for gal hunting.
That's also a
The
really
lips
good...
should be pretty useful against hunting down the gals.
Yeah, having like two vector lips behind the cliffs and having a rep girl behind them and just peeking over and vectoring a galaxy away. That's actually maybe not a bad strat. Yeah.
Giving Path ideas.
Yeah, that's
Well, that
actually
might,
I like
that
that.
might already be a backup strat we have.
I like that one. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, you can also go with NSOs. They got a bit more firepower behind their ESFs.
The Dervish.
Yep.
Yeah, we had Carl this match, and I think if you play passive, it's really, really good actually. But I think being aggressive with that thing in airboards, you're dead instantly, like because you're so big. But for passive play, I think they are really good. That's true.
It's also a lot easier to track the Dervish because it's so unique.
Seeing this matchup, I was wondering. I knew what hot infantry was like. I was interested in seeing DIOR infantry. I believe they had PSET, Foxies, and Trink as their main forces. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Ruin was also part of it.
A
I
Ruin
might
as
not
well.
know
Yeah.
that because that's a
Yeah.
outfit.
Yeah. Doc, how did you feel going up against their infantry?
It's hard for me to say because I can't really play that much infantry when I'm looking at the map and,
Yeah.
and coordinating people and everything. But
Playing Lightnings.
they weren't like pushovers, that's for sure.
It seemed like you had a slight advantage.
We definitely had better infantry.
Yeah.
I would 100% say that. But I mean the biggest infantry fight we had was the Argent Pass one. When they went towards our warp gate kinda. And I honestly messed that up because we did not kill the Sunros, and that's the biggest reason why we lost that whole thing. But I think we did better in the infantry fights on average, like on the Beta George fights. Where that went on for like a good 15 something minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we kind of edged it out with the infantry gameplay that we had.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the second match. 1 versus 4 against Spock. 1 versus 4 won that with 273 points to BAWC 227. Let's start with the winners here. Homi, how was that match?
That was a good match. It was a lot nicer to play BAWC than against BOIS. I think we were quite even.
Sorry?
After, yeah, we won the air wall in the beginning, but kind of gave up AS's control and let BAWC basically have it for the rest of the load. Only contesting so that they can't air to ground us as much. It felt like we had a slight advantage in infantry and in logistics. And I think that gave us the option to save a lot of last-second defenses and made sure we got a bit more attacks through than BAWC. And that basically gave us the points.
Yeah, totally. I actually wasn't present for the match. I watched the stream, and from what it looked like, it was something that I was actually pretty scared of, that my infantry would underestimate your infantry, and it showed. Like I saw a lot of holds that typically I would expect BAWC to hold, and we just fell apart when your guys came up. And yeah, like logistic placements, there were Sundays that were called out and were just not taken care of. Overall, I think like I can concisely say like you outplayed us completely, and
I wouldn't
GG
say
for that.
completely.
I would.
Murdok, who was force commanding? If you weren't
Yesterday
there.
that was the Dominus buff actually.
Where was the dumbness
Oh,
buff?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no.
know.
Darkness,
I
Oh,
no.
I
know.
look like a moron.
Oh no.
I know.
Oh.
I was expecting a W and I show up and we're oh no, oh we're getting warp gated. Oh, that's a mistake. Oh, this is bad.
How did the match
Homi.
end?
Oh, sorry.
With how much territory? Like bases?
5-4, I think.
Ah,
right?
okay, so really
It was
close.
pretty
Okay.
close, yeah.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah, it was a great match to watch.
Ah,
I
okay.
gotta say.
I have to rewatch that one then. Yeah.
We
It's
lost
definitely
momentum
interesting
very
that,
early on.
We saw, for example, that, like I said, BAWC had the air advantage basically the whole time, except for the beginning. But we had dedicated pilots that were annoying them, so they can't switch to air to ground. So BAWC basically had more pop in the air than we did, but couldn't affect the infantry fights as much. We really found that was pretty good for our infantry. We occasionally had some ESFs annoying us, but we even on the air bases like Bitter George, we were still able to push around the points and just move as an infantry squad.
And you
Yeah,
also had
really
some
proud.
you had some really good Sunday placements, I gotta tell you. Like
Yeah.
there were locations that we had to rewatch VODs and like personal POVs afterwards and go, oh wow, I didn't know you could put a Sunday there. That's interesting. We should remember that.
Yeah, we had a few hardcore players that really studied the map beforehand.
Yeah, that's great with a complete new map. Getting all those spots, figuring them out, and all that small stuff. I really like that.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe some galaxies would have helped leverage that air control.
Didn't 1v4 run
No, we did.
Galaxies?
We did.
We did
Or
in the
I-
beginning, but we
yeah.
didn't try to contest air during the massive match.
Yeah, but the galaxies help catch up on the caps and get
Yeah.
win that logistics area where you apparently
Yeah,
where
but
1v4 was apparently at.
gals are pretty slow and they're pretty attention.
And they're flying.
Yeah, sure, they're
Once-
flying, but compare that to a Valkyrie or ESF was a beacon.
But you have to
that's-
repull it every time for the warp gate and all that
Yeah.
stuff. It
Yeah.
it takes longer than just having the galaxies fly back and forth.
You can get a Valkyrie from the SATCOM.
I can't wait for the 1v4 versus hot match.
Yeah, that
Ooh,
would be
we-
I'm gonna
Ah.
leverage
have
the
a
fuck out of
preview.
my Valkyries,
Yeah.
out of my
Preview.
galaxies. I can tell you
Oh,
that much.
Homie, prepare for a lot of galaxies from Doc P.
That's fine. We can handle it. It will
The-
be a really interesting match.
The Liberators, I can
Definitely,
already see them.
definitely.
24 galaxies with one gunner each just flying out from the hot warp gate.
Don't tell them.
Lane smash tactics.
1v4 gonna pull the 48 in the beginning. 48 galaxies just to show Doc.
Just around.
Maybe we pull boys and reapers and start with a vehicle push.
But I think I've got to give credit to 1 versus 4 here in regards that you never see like a 1 versus 4 platoon sized thing on live server, like ever. basically,
Yeah.
and it still seems to have translated quite well from like. Usually, I would say it feels like 3 or 4 people, and I usually only meet that outfit tag at like the later hours of the evening. But it's really surprising to me that they did such a good job keeping up with an outfit that is Broken Arrow Company that's been doing like squad and platoon size things for as long as I've been playing Planetside for.
Yeah, our outfit is pretty young, just a few months. But we had a large core of TFDN guys moving over. So basically, all the competitive hardcore guys that were on Discord went to us, and the rest basically jumps. And so we had a good start line. We had reinforcements occasionally from a lot of different outfits that joined over the months, and a large contingency of threat guys. And yeah, we usually only had 2 squads during ops, or 3 squads coming closer to the outfit wars on live. And yeah, we're just trying to get you guys also be annoyed by Attic Ground.
I've seen you doing a lot of point holds on live the last 2-3 weeks actually, and quite successful as well.
Yeah, we have some very good infantry players, and we try to leverage that.
For sure, that's what I said last podcast.
Yeah.
Wow.
The unexpected,
thought?
yeah. No one had you on paper. Like no one thought, 1v4. But yeah, 2-0. That's quite impressive.
Well, the nice thing, there are only 2 VS outfits, so if you want to stay on VS side, you can either join BOIS, which I'm not trying to diss them, but they're a bit more casual. We worked a lot together with them, so we know each other well. And we were always the more competitive side, so if you wanted to play competitively on the VS side, you basically had to join us. We were the
Endless
only
plug.
Why not?
Why not?
We were short 1 guy in the last match.
Let's move on to the match that ended. The first match of today ended not so long ago. Hydra against RedMist, the rematch from last week. This week was RedMist coming out victorious with 294 points against Hydra's 206. Paff, how was it from the Hydra side, as you haven't played last week?
Was casual as usual from Hydra.
As
like
usual.
no preparing, just go in and have fun. This week he said they were like 10 people down. We only played with 40 people, I think, or even 38, and then we even lost like 2 or 3 over the course of the match because of disconnects, because you can relog sadly. That was kind of a bummer, honestly, like being 10 people down. It's like nearly a full squad, and you can get overpopped on every base, basically, on every point. And I think the match actually showed that. But it was still fun, I think. People weren't mad or angry against each other. It was fine. We knew, I mean, if we are underpopped, it's fine. We know it from the start. And yeah, I think the match went clearly how we imagined it, being 10 people down.
Yeah, that's fair. I gotta say I guess it was because we were a bit overpopping a lot of times, but I don't think it was only that. I think we were prepared a lot more for this match, especially after seeing the map for another time and knowing what worked better, what worked worse. And I had fun tonight, so that was a plus.
I think you guys were pretty quick on the logistics side.
Yes, we were. That was a main takeaway from the first match.
Yeah, we just thought about like imagine like having 10 people more, and those flying. I mean, that would mean like no air force for you at all, like basically warp gated, and then the match is like completely different. Then you have like basically 3 air hammers on every base, air hammering, and it's kind of sad, but you fought really well. And what I heard from Halo and Invisibilist, you had good sunny placements as well, and infantry went also really good for you, so props.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the stats, the pure numbers, it looks like a very equal matchup. There's barely any difference in terms of anything regarding like the KD or the revives. Obviously, it scales a bit worse since you've got less players on Hydra's side, but this looks to be
And
a
the
very
kills as
equal
well.
matchup. Yeah. Yeah, true. Now that you mention it, it's very
I think,
close on kills.
sorry to interrupt you. I think Hydra had like 200 more kills
Yeah.
than RedMist.
Yeah, it's roughly 130 apparently. The Hydra
Yeah.
had more than kills, but what really shows is what other people also pointed out already is that in the beginning you managed to take the reactor-based thingy and you traded the 3-pointer for a 1-pointer basically. And I think then being able to just play the game of, hey, we can just tap a point here and you can never cap anything else is double so painful for a Hydra that's already players down because
Yeah.
you can't really afford to commit players
Yeah.
back to secure like back caps and annoying
Yeah.
attempts to like waste time. Because I think otherwise this looks like a matchup if you've got full rosters on both sides. This is very entertaining to watch because it's not ever going to be a blowout in one direction. Even today it wasn't, with numbers being a bit skewed towards RedMist here. But that doesn't take anything away from the victory, I think. At least not too much, because it still showed that both teams, I mean, obviously Hydra changes within their will to change. Hydra is very casual this tournament. You basically never know what you're going to get, which
Yeah.
side of the Hydra. But looking at RedMist, I think it was good. It was a good change from the first match. The logistics looked much better and much more useful this time. And you managed to get your people on the board and into positions where they can actually get kills. And so also looking at the total players and kill boards and stuff, it looks like it's a nice and healthy mixture of players here, not just blue for Hydra.
And the air was also kind of like, it was really stale and really back and forth, but you still had a little bit of fun flying actually.
How many pilots did you guys have?
8 maybe? I don't
Yeah.
know. I actually don't know. I was even air leading, but there wasn't much to lead. I mean,
Yeah.
there was like, okay, there are like six more Mozzis. Try
We
to
had,
hold them.
We had like 10. in
Yeah,
there, so-
yeah. But we had 2 people in the dervish, and this was like, yeah, let's try to hold. And if you see a Benji Mozzie, maybe focus that first, and then try to not get killed and jump by 3 Mozzies. That was kind of it. So yeah, but it was still fun, stale but fun. Oh yeah.
Mentioning the Dervish, Puff, how do you like the Dervish in competitive? We've seen it once now on your end, and you've been like alongside it, and we've seen it in the DIOR hot match. What do you think of it so far?
I was not a fan of it, seeing it in the beginning, actually, because I probably enjoy 2 ESFs more than 1 Dervish. If 2 competent ESF pilots are in there, or even semi-competent. I think you have more impact with 2 semi-competent ESFs than with 1 good Dervish. But I really liked it this match because you needed to play so passive. And having a Dervish peeking over that hill in front of the warp gate was actually pretty sick because it has such a high DPS. It ripped apart some Mozzies pretty fast and was like, next to him was like, like playing defensive, that thing is pretty good actually. But on the other hand, I think if you need to play like forward and aggressive, I don't think that it's that useful anymore. Because you're such a big target. If two ESFs decide to focus on you, you're dead. In like both need half a clip and you're dead. And I don't think that's good then. But for passive play, I really like them, actually.
Seems like
Sounds,
they have a quite specialized role.
Yeah.
Sounds NSO to me.
Yeah, and I think for live, also like dervishes are pretty much designed to take on larger aircrafts. Like on lips, they rip lips apart. And you don't have those on Outfit Wars. And against Galaxies, they aren't so good either. And against ESS, they aren't good. And that's why I think they are
Against good ESFs, they're not good.
Yeah, and
Against me, they're great.
and that's why they are pretty niche, honestly. But for defensive play, I like them, but not too many. Like I think 1 is good, but too many you lose too many player numbers in the air and too much HP in the air if you have too many in them.
All right. Oops, sorry. Go on, Swan.
No, I was just gonna say I'm with you on that one. I think it's good to have 1. Maybe you can justify having 1. I wouldn't want many more, but then again, it kind of gives you at least something that your NSO players can do for vehicle side. I mean, the Chimera buff isn't in yet, and otherwise there's just kind of... I mean, they've got the anti-rep rifle on their NG, I guess, and otherwise, unless you've unlocked the Newton, you're kind of just a bit of dead weight, I think, in my opinion, because you're just lacking a lot of the strong stuff. especially for NC teams. You're lacking a Reaver, a Jackhammer, all of that lovely stuff. So I think having a Dervish, it's something that they can at least do for the matches. So you can run all the fun stuff like the shield on the max suit and things.
And what I also noticed this match, because I had to bail quite a lot, I died quite a lot as well. The Mustad is still so busted. I killed, I think, like 3 or 5 Mozzies just bailing on the hills and then focusing them down and helping other Reaver pilots out, like other squad members. It's so busted, even on long range. I was actually baffled, even after the nerf. I didn't use it after the nerf because I didn't fly lip since then. And it was crazy. I don't know. I think it still has to go.
If Raul's listening, please nerf it. Thank you.
And he can watch my VOD. I think that's pretty. I don't know. I don't think you should lose an vehicle in ESF, and then you are free to trade against someone else or even help out other people as well. Again, after that, you're never out of the equation with a Mustad, and I don't think that's good balance at all.
Okay, moving on to the next match, we had Reborn against BOIS. What did you guys think about it?
I wish I could have seen it.
I was able to watch it through a stream on BOIS Discord. I watched the players stream this time. It was a fun match to watch.
Was it? How so?
BOIS kind of took more bases than Reborn. They dominated the points department. But Reborn went for the back cap and all the way back cap to the Nexus.
Oh.
So you basically had a situation where BOIS controlled the entire middle, almost had them Reborn push back to their Nexus, but also a fight on their own Nexus because Reborn, every time they get wiped there, they got back on the point before the timer ran out. So they had one cap going all the way for like 20 minutes on the BOIS Nexus. While BOIS was just pushing the front back to them and wiping them. And those wipes were close, so Reborn almost won occasionally. And that was really funny.
That reminds me of how I feel like teams and like anyone is paying too much attention to getting this Nexus warp gate base.
Yeah.
I think it's actually absolutely the wrong play to do. It happened in our match as well, where the DIOR guys went for Argent Pass with the probable intention to get the warp gate base. But I feel like it's better to play for the 3 middle bases in the map and then go for there.
It's safer.
Yeah, I think that's the main problem. It's a lot safer to play for the middle bases, but if you know that you're in a pickle, then you're going to lose, then maybe why not go for it?
I don't think so. I think in an even match there is absolutely no way you win the warp gate base ever.
It's very difficult.
Yeah,
it's so easy to clear out the spawns and then to push you out again.
It's a very silly all-in. I agree.
Yeah, and you can't really even swarm the pointers maxers because they will just overstrike you. There's no real way to keep the attack going, definitely if the skill is really even.
Yeah, and it's
there has
so
to be a leadership issue on the other side if you're gonna win that.
Yeah, and it's so close to the warp gate, you can always have stuff spamming out of the warp gate, so even air doesn't matter on that base much, I think.
And you can't really rely on Sundays because 1 or 2 tanks from the outside can snipe all of your Sunday positions. You basically have to rely on beacons, which is outside. And the inner defenses basically have to be provided by NGs with walls and turrets, and that's it.
Yep.
It's a good system to end uneven matches early. But I also like it that it's not an easy cap for if skills are quite even.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone, any other points about this match?
It was definitely one of those matches that I really would have wanted to see because BOIS and Reborn are kind of, a couple of those teams that you don't really set extremely high expectations for, and then they do something, completely out of left field and the match just gets interesting. You want to see it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
It wasn't casted?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's also a little issue this year. There are too many too many games at the same time. Like even on Cobalt, I think, even though we only have 5 matches, right, and 10 outfits. Honestly, I think for next season they maybe need to like do not 20 and 20-30, maybe even like spacing it a bit like 15 minutes, and then maybe to do 3 or 4 time slots actually. So you maybe can cast 2 games, because I'm also casting and I'm also on the PSB caster, and we have so many people there, but you simply can't cast all of the games. It's impossible. It's like a full-time job over the weekend. Yeah.
Do
Yeah, I
teams
don't even have
have
time to
to?
cast. I would like to do it.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Do teams have to ask for their matches to be casted,
No.
or do you guys just go, "Oh, I want to look at this match"?
We look. They write down the matches, and then people say, yeah, they want to cast that and that match, and usually people say, like people who know the server usually also say, yeah, like hot versus 1 versus 4 is an interesting match, that's worth to cast, and usually the low end matches aren't considered, because you elect I mean, they are sure also interesting, but not as interesting as like a top match performing against each other, and that's why they are left out most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
those two are definitely wild, but the opener was pretty standard, airballs. I think BOIS won it, and got the advantage in the bases, and then it was basically a grind from BOIS towards work it, and only the back half from Reborn was most there.
Do you
was kind of standard.
do you think Reborn could have like won if they didn't went for that weird strat and capping the home base?
No, I think BOIS had a good advantage from the start. They got the SATCOM and I think the middle base in the beginning, and Reborn went to top lane. And I think BOIS would have grinded them down because they were quite even on infantry, but BOIS were a bit better in logistics. You can say a lot about Sellers, but he's good at placing zombies. So I think they would have been grinded down, and you really saw it in the points. BOIS got a lot more points early, and they consistently kept the base lead. And it was basically the gamble on the next that gave Reborn even a chance. But it's also difficult to say if it worked, because they would have kept it in a cut-off state, and I don't even know if that would have worked.
It does work.
Oh, okay.
I don't think Rel wants it to work, actually. I remember him saying that he doesn't want that to be the case, but apparently
Yeah, both ways.
that
makes
didn't
sense,
make it in.
kind of.
I think watching these bigger outfits though is something about it is really appealing to me.
Yeah.
Because these are the type of outfits that you always see on live with the claims to they decide the alerts and they win it and they just play the objective and you're mad because you lost the base because they redeployed tactically. We've all seen it, we've all heard it. I think this format really holds the mirror in front of these people, because now you can't say, hey, it was Overpop or it was the third faction or VS is only focusing TR, we can't do anything. This is just you against them, and you really get to see what people are made of. Because what it comes down to it, this should be where these outfits excel. Put the player skill aside for 1 second. Just looking at the leadership level, this should be, from the claims that we hear, where they really show us how it's done. Because this is supposedly their bread and butter. Tactically deploying the pop to create unfair fights and unfair advantages for you. But so far, I think they're not quite delivering, and I really want them to step that up and become annoying opponents to play against.
Yeah,
One
it's
interesting fact is BOIS won in a slight underpop, so that's 4 players less than Reborn, I think.
Okay.
At least according to the alert stats.
yeah, but ZmileZ, I think that's the reality check we also talked about last time for a lot of outfits.
Yeah. But
It's
the reality is they're kind of delusional.
yeah.
That's just it.
I mean, we already know how delusional and how wrong they are, but now they just can't blame other people or like other outfits for it anymore. It's just like them performing poorly and not relying on 80% overpop anymore. They can't do that, and then they aren't performing.
And I know
like
you
on
know
live.
that, ZmileZ. I know you're trying to be trying to be nice, but it's like that's just how it is.
You can name it. I think it's
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think we all know who you're referencing.
Oh, we know.
That's a few.
We know.
Actually.
Yeah, but you must say that organizing the randoms on live, giving them a target, also has quite an effect on alert.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, sure.
Giving Reborn and BOIS, they can really affect alerts if they are really into it. But it's usually numbers games and getting the normal people, the casuals, organized.
Yeah, it's just pure numbers, nothing else. It's just like body count, nothing else. No gunfights, nothing. Just body count on the point, and that's it. And only because you're like it's only the organizing where to put the people, nothing else. Like no like setting up fights or setting up Sundays. It's just like drop there, be on point, and it's good. And you won the base, and then go to next one. And you always will perform better when randoms, even with doing that. But that's not enough in an even fight on Outfit Wars. It's simply not enough.
No, it really isn't. I think whenever I look at these outfits, I kind of wonder whether the Trident as of last year would have placed. Because having played with a few of their people, with like Omni back in the days, I wonder how they would have gotten there. Because I know that Trident nowadays is, you may say sadly, some may say yes, some may say no, not really present in the format. You still got the players around. I think, what was his name?
Nuclear Touch?
I mean, he's still around. I don't know if he found a team though.
No.
Yet to see him.
I think we're the only team with Trid guys in it, and he specifically is not with us, but a large contingency of Trid as well.
Yeah, that would have been something I really wanted to see. Like have the big outfits of each faction matched against each other. I think TR is kind of lacking that representative outfit just because of Zergras doesn't really communicate with the outside world, so to say.
And Bros is with Reapers.
True,
Yep.
yeah. So we wouldn't see the epic three-way fight where we can finally find out which faction has the big outfit that's the best, but maybe next season. One can hope.
And I miss PZ actually as well. A whole PZ team. Kinda.
Yeah.
There's PZ people in DIOR, right? I've seen
Exactly. Yeah.
When Alps disbanded, like when they couldn't field the team, they went to DIOR. As far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah, that team sadly broke up because that was really interesting. That team did fairly well in the previous iterations of Outfit Wars.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the EU isn't here.
EU's RedMist, basically.
Okay.
It's like where's Bling? Where's Bling?
Bling never like. You mean last year Bling? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it was just T on a different tag, right? Just on TR.
Yeah.
I think it's also interesting to see how much the outfit scene changed between this Outfit Wars and last one. You definitely have a lot of names that aren't present this year or in a different format or with different other teams. Definitely a lot of change in the last 2 years.
And I actually think like Outfit Wars for the first time give outfits or call it teams. I mean, we all know like there are ringers and people playing with other outfits together, even though there's no legal thing to do that. I mean, we know it, and it's the first time in this game outfits or teams actually matter, right? I think before it was like, it's your friends, the people you play around with, having a nice time, right? But now it's the first time outfits matter, and I think that's really good. And it's pretty sad that we have this Nexus Wars only now, like 10 years into the game, not like 6 years ago already. I think the game would look way different, and I think even with more pop, having that stuff earlier.
It would have certainly driven outfits in a different direction than they are right now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially such a large format would make sure that the outfits try to get more pop, more than just 12 people that can join one a little small lane smash or something like that.
I think
or Jaeger stuff.
Yeah, I think you would have like less small outfits, but more midfits actually. And I think that would be pretty healthy for the game.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
And
Actually,
fewer extremely large outfits, because you usually have a culture shift or a leadership shift when you have such an event.
You guys think Outfit Wars contributed to Trid dying out?
Why?
No, I think
Well,
that
because
was
of people
like,
splitting off, right?
I think that was like a lot before. Maybe
yeah.
TFDN split.
No,
I
TFTN
guess
was quite
Homi
fine
knows.
after that. I was officer in TFTN, so it wasn't the outfit wars. It was a lack of drive afterwards, and after lack of leadership.
Yeah, same on Trident, I think. Like Omni left, and like after Omni left, I didn't hear from him like 2 years ago. I saw Trident slowly dying down and seeing less and less people. Honestly,
Maybe outfit wars was a trigger point for them.
Yeah,
But
could be.
They
Maybe.
probably had issues beforehand.
I think it's always the big outfits where you realize after a while if they go inactive, it's usually 1 or 2 people who hold the entire ship together, which is a bit weird thinking about it because it's the same amount of people you'd have in your usual 12 to 24 people outfit, but they are the 2 people who like run 2,000 people across the server more or
Yeah.
less.
And you have a lot of dead weight. Yeah, a lot of inactive players or a lot of inactive leadership that wants to join back and wants to control everything then, or something similar, stuff like that. And it's just a bit easier to start a new outfit than with the few guys that actually lead and the competitive guys that really want to do something.
Hey, last match was Reapers 3PG. Kind of one-sided, as was previous
Expected.
3PG match, and I guess it was expected.
I mean, thanks to Reapers, actually, like, shout out to Reapers for getting 1 more point than Hydra, so we don't have a third rematch against RedMist.
No third rematch. Now
Thank
I
you,
finally played-
Reapers.
I
Really.
am so mad at that. I was expecting an easy third match against Reapers or something like that, and now I
Yeah.
have to face DIOR. Thank you, Paff. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was, I was like, before the Reapers match ended, I was already saying in Hydra's chat, like, we face RedMist again in the third match, and everyone was not again.
Oh no! I thought that would happen once when the match ended. I thought that was gonna happen. I wrote "See you next weekend" on Yell chat.
Yeah, I saw that and
Thinking
was
there's
checking.
gonna be a third match.
Yeah, I saw that and was like, he can't be serious. Looked at the numbers at the tiebreak point and was like, fuck, we really have similar numbers again. I think that's it, the third rematch. And then the Reapers game ended, and I saw like 1 more point when Hydra was like,
Wow!
thank you. Yeah.
I am positively surprised that the Reapers were able to show that they are in a different league than 3PG at least. Because it's always, you kind of get to wonder after being defeated round 1, are you going to be able to actually field players? And for outfits who haven't done much competitive things, will you actually be able to play in a way that showcases that you have the better players? And just looking at the stats and the way the match went, I think they managed that quite well this weekend.
Yeah.
And keeping up morals after the first loss. That's also quite important.
Yes.
What did you guys think about the openers for Reapers with the vehicle push?
I didn't watch it.
Outside?
Oh,
No, the,
classic Reapers, wasn't it?
No, wait, the Zerg Russ opener was a vehicle push. Reapers opened air.
Sure.
Yep, Reapers opened air, and Zerg Russ went Prowlers and Skyguards, and they won the opener, by the way.
No
They
way.
say the old
Yes,
Skyguard.
they-
Oh,
If you
no.
pull a Skyguard, you lose the match.
No, the Reaper
Oh.
Air went to the middle of the map, so did the Zerg Russ tank ball, and Skyguards kill Reavers that don't run away.
They still lost the match.
They did.
Just redefines the meta again.
But not
They
the
did.
opener.
Yeah, I think looking at the stats here, looking at the big tank ball from 3PG, they've gotten a total of 18 kills with Prowlers that match. So it was more of a waste their time and make the opener slower kind of deal, as it always is with vehicle massive things. I think we've seen it in Lane Smash, the famous Iron Dome. Dubness is going to be cheering somewhere hearing that reference again. So it's always something to bother the enemy team into kind of, hey, oh no, we have to do something, and maybe they panic and throw the match in the meantime.
Yeah, but also
yeah.
the map is really bad for tank,
Yeah.
especially in the
Yes.
beginning. Last Outfit Wars was different in that regard.
For
It
sure.
really affect the fight a lot more with your vehicles.
Do you?
Yeah, like
Well, it was just an open field. That's all you could do was play vehicles.
Yeah.
They had a lot more to do. You had construction to kill, you had other tanks to kill. This time it's
Colossi.
just live.
Colossus, yeah. Do you what do you think
Maybe not
about construction removal?
I like it. I enjoy it.
probably be the best thing that happened ever since removing the third factor team in the entire matchup.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think so
I
too.
I think it's good.
Matches
think
just
construction-
turned into building a gigantic sandcastle near your
Yeah.
warp gate, and then
Yeah.
I don't know how many
I think
times.
that only happened because like they had time to do that when the other two teams were fighting each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
And
But also,
then you-
and
map again, I don't think construction would have mattered much because you have a lot of covers. And the one big factor last round was that you didn't have any terminals at the bases. So you basically had to pull off your vehicles and airplanes from the warp gate. Not as bad with airplanes, but if you're in a tank fight, driving all the way there takes forever. And
Yeah.
having a vehicle base in the middle helped a lot.
Yeah.
TFTN basically did that tactic the whole time. Vehicle push to the middle, build a base there, and then pull the rest of the vehicles from there.
I think the
And then
main
get ignored.
the main advantage with construction is how much the nanite game is not there anymore, because you can just use cordium to pull air, to pull ground vehicles.
Yeah, and I think the construction aspect was, I don't know how many times I heard things like, oh no, we can't take that base because it would take approximately 15 minutes to dismantle the construction
Yeah.
until we can actually flip the point. And
Yeah.
looking at the matches, how they play now, having construction on this continent, the second you leave one lane unattended for 5 minutes, somebody's going to build an unconquerable fucking sandcastle on that lane, and then you can basically kiss that lane goodbye and just play the other lane.
Yeah.
It's not that construction is very strong or like insanely deadly, but it's insanely demoralizing to play with.
It's just
and
annoying
against.
to play. against.
annoying. And so
Yeah,
it promotes passive gameplay, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's good it got removed. I think it doesn't have a place in a competitive format, honestly.
Yeah, same for the Colossus in my opinion.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would serve the same purpose. It just drives down a lane very slowly at 45 kilometers an hour, and it's just that lane is just no go until you focus it with 50 Reavers or something, or
Yeah.
a C4 flash. I don't know.
God bless the removal of the Bastion.
Nexus
To get the resources for that would be annoying as hell.
Nexus with Bastion. Yeah, that would be.
Oh no.
Oh jeez.
You had one
Just
open
no one would
for
be playing
pretty much
infantry
every
anymore.
match.
No.
And just you wait for next season, guys.
The middle base is the only safe haven.
Next season it's just gonna be both, guys. I don't know what you mean.
Don't give Red ideas, okay? Don't.
Okay, now I hope Rel is not
Don't.
listening to,
Yeah,
listening to the
same.
podcast.
I genuinely forgot about bots already.
Yeah.
That's okay, so did 90% of the player base.
Oh, boats.
Boot.
They would need a new
I mean,
map,
they could
so
add a little bit of
pretty
water in front of the warp gate, right? So boats are
And-
as
and
useful
what?
as on live continents.
Eh.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it in front of the warp gate, because by the time you see the warp gate, the match is over anyway.
Yeah,
so you don't have to deal with it.
You're gonna have 2 ranger boats at the warp.
Maybe Top Hill Lake, so you can place AA with them.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly fun until somebody places a sky shield bubble around them. Which was also
Containment.
one of the more innovative ways of dealing with the Prowlers in the Hot versus DIOR match. I think at some point, it was Testmere who
Yeah,
just
he
placed
told
a
me he
bubble
placed-
shield around the deployed Prowler on the hill.
True.
And the Prowler kept on sitting there for a few more minutes, just basically sitting there like in a zoo. You could fly past and look at the Prowler.
But I
Very
think DIOR killed that pretty fast, actually. But it was a really nice move. I saw it on stream. I was like,
Yeah,
that's it's Firehead move. That was good. Yeah.
Was there any outfit resources that really surprised you in the effectiveness on this map?
I think we still haven't seen any. Like, not much at least. Not to the point where I'd expect it to. You've got lots of chances to, I don't know, do creative things with them. And the most creative use I've seen is teams pre-anviling in Sundies in certain spots.
Apparently, the
that's-
Brazilians just steel rained on the bases instead of going there for the opener.
Bruh.
What?
Like a nightmare.
What?
NA Productions.
I mean, it's pretty good because it's a fixed 30 seconds cooldown, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I
you
don't
can
think
do
it's
it.
faster than Galaxy though.
No, but you can do it already before. So when the match ends, you can instant you getting rained down, and then you're faster than a Galaxy, 100% on point.
Seems a
Well,
bit
yes,
risky.
but the other team won't get there either way, so they'll just drop on you, and I don't know if you have enough time to set up
I
everything.
feel like that time difference isn't gonna change
Yeah.
anything.
exactly.
Yeah, probably.
And also the defenders knows 30 seconds ahead of time where you go, because one airplane probably sees the marker on the map.
I mean, when you're fighting over neutral base in the opener, then
Yeah.
people know there's gonna be enemies on the other base.
Something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's good for the SATCOM.
I think steer rails can be something useful mid-game if you time them
Yes,
out
I
a
agree
good
on
bit.
that.
And
I
you-
agree.
You have to
Mid-game?
be really sure about
Yes.
the timing.
How would you use the mid-game?
If you need a
Well,
massive redeploy
It's a
on
faster,
the
it's a
Yeah.
faster max drop basically.
Exactly, the
Oh,
max
okay,
drop. I
okay,
wanted
yeah.
to say that, the max drop. That we people kind of forget about that. You can drop maxes with that, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's gonna have to get maxes on it, bro.
I kind of try to forget maxes exist, so yeah.
But I actually think it's quite good that outfit resources aren't that overused, because I think then they're actually balanced in a way. So they don't like they're contributing and you can do stuff with them, but they are not like necessary to win a match and like to use them right. I think that's fine. But I think the most important outfit the resource is discounts on the warp gate.
Yeah, true.
Like air
Yes.
discounts. That's the most
And then in
important
the
thing,
beginning.
honestly.
Just give every base immediately all for the rest of the event.
Yeah. Okay.
And also
Sorry.
with the strikes as counter against maxes. That's pretty essential.
True. That's also pretty.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Let's hear your predictions for next weekend's matches. So we have 1v4 against Hot as the 1-2 match, DIOR against BAWC, RedMist Reapers, Hydra against BOIS, and Reborn against 3PG. Doc, who do you think will win DIOR BAWC?
DIOR BAWC. I think DIOR wins it.
I think so too, actually.
BAWC is not gonna have the air to get up against that, and DIOR's just gonna slap him around with their air control.
That's
And they have
that's
good
actually
enough
a
infantry,
pretty solid point. That's a pretty solid point, yeah.
Yeah.
I do
I-
want Dior to do things and to show what they're good at, but I'm curious to see, because I know Dior's got the people like listening and actively involved enough to come up with something that could help him negate that that bit of a disadvantage a bit. But I'm really curious what BAWC is going to come up with, because I don't think we're going to see the regular old, hey, we pull I don't know, 2 squads of ESFs and drive a few Sundays and tanks here and there. I think there's going to have to be something really interesting happening to make that match interesting to watch. Otherwise, yeah, kind of with the rest of them here, that if BAWC doesn't really get it together and really come up with a really good strat, this is going to be a fairly convincing one for Dior.
I still believe in the Dotness buff.
Yeah,
Maybe
always.
you can whip some Dotness.
I took some lessons from the 1vs4 match, and it's going to be interesting to see how I implement it
I don't think
against
it compares
Dior.
well to Dior. Dior is a lot better in force multipliers than us. They are kind of specialized on it. You probably have to play around those more than with us, because we're pretty strong in infantry, but not as experts as Dior is in tanks or ESFs. That's kind of a different game there.
Oh, but I think that there's still a lot to learn in regards to what went wrong here. I think it's more important to fix the things that went obviously very wrong, and one of them being that you've got many competent shooters in BAWC, and looking at the stats, these people didn't really get to shoot, it seems. So you should be looking at what can we change so that these people can actually stand in a building and click heads.
There was a lot of reshuffling because we basically ran out of pilots, like I think a couple of hours before the match. So we had to move a lot of people that I would want on the ground into the air squad. Hopefully
That's
that won't
very
happen
relatable.
this week.
Um,
Really,
th-
I didn't think Hot's gonna have a problem with strong infantry players.
And
Well,
strong
the problem
air
is that I'm moving
players.
those strong infantry players into air, so we can fill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the usual and old problem with air players. There are never enough air players, actually. Never.
Never enough.
Never.
Murdok, what do you
Yeah.
think about 1v4 against Hot?
That's actually going to be pretty interesting. I mean, looking at 1vs4 infantry, I was pleasantly surprised. They were a lot stronger than I thought they would be. And I know Hot has some very competent infantry players. I'm still gonna give it to Hot though. No offense.
Yeah, I think so too. Like the way Hot is stacked, especially in vehicles as well. And like Homi already said, they have strong infantry, but they kind of lack in the vehicle department. And Hot has like both those categories covered. I think Hot will win that, pretty sure.
Paff, your favorite two favorite teams, RedMist against Reapers. Who do you think? What do you think's gonna happen there?
I think RedMist will win that, pretty sure. And if not, I'm gonna be mad at you, Kako. Yeah, I think Reapers is a little bit more experienced, has a little bit better people, probably also has a better leadership, and has the air players as well. And
Whoa.
and you probably even do a better macro and move over the map. You fought now like 2 times Hydra, and you got I think good experience into it. You learned a lot from those 2 matches, and I don't think Reapers learned a lot in the first match because they kind of got stormed, and they didn't learn anything like in the second match because they stormed someone else. And I think that probably benefits you a lot going into the against Reapers.
ZmileZ. Oh, sorry. Homie, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, it's always a bit more annoying to play against RedMist than against the Reapers. So I would also give you the advantage. Then.
ZmileZ, what do you think about Hydra against BOIS?
I mean, that's going to be a fairly clear-cut one, I think. And unless Hydra turns up with less than 2 squads of people, I'd be willing to bet that Hydra's going to take that.
That could happen. That could happen.
Yeah,
no
I
joke.
wonder.
And here we
that
get to
point-
the interesting part of that.
Dude, that would be interesting.
Don't
Yeah.
That
tell
would
them.
make the match really interesting, yeah.
That
Yeah,
would
I
be.
think this is the
Oi.
point though where we'd reach the stage of the tournament, because on Cobalt you don't really have a chance of getting eliminated in group phases, right? Because it's 10 outfits and
think
8 get to
Two
advance.
teams.
Two teams will drop out.
Two teams will
Two
drop
teams
out, yeah.
will drop, which is
Yes.
for most outfits this isn't going to be a realistic thing, because I think it's fairly set that 3PG is going to drop, and then
Yes.
the second team to drop is yet to fully be determined. But I think it's going to be Reborn in the end, by the way things are looking, unless they really step it up. this is
Yeah,
gonna
looks like it.
So this is going to start being a way of saying like, hey, do we want to maybe, win this one a bit more or less to get the favorable matchups in the decisive rounds? It's not that it's going to change much, because you're always going to face the same outfits. There's no way in Cobalt of dodging all the hard outfits until you reach the finals by getting into a certain bracket. But this might be one. I don't think Hydra will ever lose it or would play for the loss, but that would be the only way I would see BOIS ever taking a win there.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
It will be interesting to see what BOIS does against Hydra.
True.
Because they're creative.
Yeah, I mean the
When you
less
constantly
favored
die,
you are-
your creativity won't get you any.
yeah,
Or you won't even get to use your creativity because
Nope.
there's like nothing to do.
you've got a fair point. I think the lesser favor you are, the more crazy and out there your plan has to be for it to somewhat work. It needs to be like a miracle thing, like a 1 in a million type of plan, but who knows, maybe they've got the miracle steel rain boat strategy somewhere. I don't know.
Or maybe they don't even show up.
I was
That would
gonna
be
say
interesting.
that.
Maybe-
10%
maybe
that
Hydra-
instead of me.
Maybe Hydra gets disqualified. Who knows?
That's also a possibility.
That's always a possibility.
Yeah.
And I believe there is one more match. Reborn against 3PG. Or did I go over that? I didn't, right?
No.
No,
I'm
we
sorry,
haven't
it's
had
late.
No, you didn't.
I'm sorry, it's late. I am kind of happy to have Reborn in that position because I know they put a lot into the South Hours and they haven't shown it pretty much. But maybe 3PG surprises us all and comes out with a master plan or something.
I think
Maybe
it's
maybe the Skyguards work.
the vehicle ball. I think also it's pretty good for Reborn to maybe win this match for their morale. But because I think if you lose too much, if you're in such like if you lost 2 times already and then losing a 3rd time, but you kind of want to participate and it's important for you, then it can be quite demoralizing. and getting a win the next time is probably pretty good for them to keep the numbers
Yes.
up as well and not have too many people quit.
I mean, the Reborn guys are kind of in contention of not making it to playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like they would have to. I mean, they didn't win against BOIS, and it's them and 3PG basically on the lowest spots, and above them are like BOIS and then Repos. If I'm not forgetting someone.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So they would need to like pull out a win against Repos to have them
Or against BOIS.
drop.
No, it's
Or
Like,
against,
they need to
against
get-
BOIS again.
they,
Yeah.
they need to
Yeah.
they need to like next time. They need to win over BOIS once at least, and then it's actually about the tiebreaker points because 3PG probably will drop 100%, and then both teams have the same amount of losses, and then the match points count. Yeah, but RBN needs to win once at least against BOIS. Yeah.
I think the format really supports quite a significant fight towards the end, because they just the most important part is the win-loss ratio, and since now the teams, the outfits are quite evenly matched that will compete against each other, you can really get a win even if you're not as competitive as the top outfits, and that could really lend itself to a deciding factor towards the end of the last qualifier match.
Yeah. But I think tiebreaker points are pretty important for the high-end outfit, the high-tier outfits, especially going into the playoffs. But we don't know how those getting matched, right? Or got that announced?
I think we know actually.
Do we know? Because like
It's an educated guess.
Okay,
I
so,
mean,
so
I
off of
hope-
PTS we know that it's like 1 versus 4th, 2 versus 2nd, so best team versus worst team. And
Okay,
then,
that's good.
all of that.
Okay, yeah, because then it's actually really important for the higher ones to get a lot of tiebreaker points, because we already fought like casting yesterday, the hot versus what did you face again? Hot versus?
DIOR?
Oh, DIOR, sorry. Oh god, it's late. Okay, and
To be fair,
About it.
we
Tell
already
me about it.
lose.
yeah, we already thought like it's like 5,000 IQ move to lose the opener, and DIOR gets a lot of points, and you get only a few points, right? So you're kind of a bad winner, but they are a good
Yeah.
loser, and you face the next next phase a worse winner, right?
Kind of.
Kinda. And we thought like, yeah, but we didn't know that the tiebreaker actually adds up over the.
There was some confusion in your casting about our match. That was-
Yeah, I know. Because we didn't expect to that the tiebreaker points actually carry over to the next phase. We thought it's gonna refresh. That's why.
Well, basically, my mindset about it is as long as we win every match, I don't need to worry about them. That's what I'm going.
true. That's true.
But if you win against us, I demand that you won your fourth match, because then we can say we had no chance.
Sure, I'll gladly do that for you.
We will do the favor in return.
No, let's
This
not get banned
match
for match
fixing
fixing. I was about to say,
This
we're
match
dangerously.
fixing?
Wait a
tiptoeing over the line
minute.
here.
We're gonna win all of them, our matches.
Yeah, you need to win the next one as well then.
Yeah.
We'll see. Will be funny.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. We're gonna be back for next week again. Hope everyone has a great week, and looking forward for the next matches. See ya.
See ya. Bye bye.
See you.
Yeah.